This meeting is being recorded.
Hey guys, Bereans, let's take a look at the word began. Genesis 4:26 is where we want to get it started because it's actually a tool that helped us search this, which is found in the Lexicon Strong's H2490. It's a concordance, the Hebrew concordance, and halach is the word, and it's a verb, and it appears 52 times with this word begin. So let's take a look at a kind of a timeline or a lineage rather, and how this whole timeline works in that lineage. So we see Seth being born, and then from Seth, which is a righteous line, Enosh come. And Enosh is the beginning of our first verse here. Men began to call upon the name of the Lord. But on the other side, Cain, who killed Abel, is starting his own line. And you can see some similar sounding names on both. Now, sources of these information may be a little bit of a concern, but we are trying to get an understanding of what is really happening so that we can make a better estimation of what was going on. So let's take a look at Methuselah, who was going to be the oldest. And when he dies, the flood will come, and Noah is in the flood. And he is the only one, together with his 3 sons and their wives, 8 of them, that was saved. And the flood destroyed an estimated 800 million people. And that's what is very, very important for us to keep in mind as we look at this. Now, Enosh was the first name mentioned. In verse 26, it says in chapter 4, to Seth, to him also a son was born, and he called his name Enosh. Then it began to call upon the name of Adonai. So we see 800 million in the earlier chart. Then it gives us an understanding why in chapter 6 verse 1 they say began men to multiply. Now it came about when the men began to multiply on the face of the land, and daughters were born to them. Then the intermarrying takes place, and then you see the angelic activities that are getting involved with the women of man. So there is also other things that seems to be something that we can't fully grasp, but let's just assume that something, the Nephilims and the giants came from out of this kind of interaction, which is not too clear, but we will just take it on face value. Now I put 2 Ham genealogies here simply because when Noah began to be a husbandman, he actually started to have a vineyard. And this was unfortunate because he got drunk, and there was a certain kind of a sexual perversion in all of that. And so when he got up, he knew that his youngest son Ham was involved or in some way. And because Ham was involved in some way, Canaan was cursed by Noah. And because Canaan is cursed, now we see the enemy line here. And out of Cush also, we see a man who is great coming out. And let's take a look at him now. Who is he? He is now Cush fathered Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one on the earth. So how did that affect the righteous line? This would be around the Terah's timeline or earlier to that. So Nimrod was like ruling the whole earth at that time and gathering everyone together, and they became a strong force, such a way that it was said in chapter 11 verse 6, Adonai said, behold, they are one people, and they all have the same language. And this is what they began to do. And now nothing shall be restrained from them, all which they have imagined to do. So they have started to do this construction that reaches the heavens. And the whole thing is to worship idols instead of the Almighty God. So he had to stop this construction from being completely done by confusing their language. So they could not speak to each other. So look again at the Ham line that was cursed. We have the Canaanites with all the ites here, Hittites, Jebusite, Ammonites. And then we have the Egyptians, which has the Philistines here, and all the others that come with that. And then you have Cush, who has Nimrod, which we are speaking on. He got this all of this going, and God scattered them. And Nimrod was also involved with Assyrians, Nineveh, and a whole bunch of enemy kingdom. So you can see the begin in all that we have seen so far has given us a little bit of a history. And that's a good place to be when we continue with other words. Thank you for listening on.